Mipla depend on talk also learn from. Let's learn from the past. Emol said lo talk. But me look him some time, you mean not learn, but you mean like lo talk, that's all, me losing lo learn. So me like establish him some learning. You look him go back long past where works department is have a one block program, we call him apprenticeship scheme. This apprenticeship scheme sabe school him one man long, go drive him a loader, excavator, use him walker packer along Patim Road, put them culvert, and also have a school or this la. But one black government may come now, rouse him this la. Okay, one black soul me give him. So all this employment issue, you look him. Some black mainly because only man no got skill, all men no got skill. You may get to rouse him. This la parliament ain't been rouse him all this like and before, long all not black government before. Okay, now I'm giving one black most recent. Then you need look him also all APEC facilities people have been building. Now me look him all South Pacific, the 15th South Pacific Games, all infrastructure people are building. Now me look him people like this him all contractor outside they come inside. Now me look him sample infrastructure, me look him people are walking along country. Like me look him this like flyover, long recently people are building this like Kumul flyover. Or me look him sample big block construction, me look him the Island Highway, only open him along 4-lane 2 and 4-lane 4 from the city. Now me look him people like this him all contractors outside they come inside. Me not talking wrong. I'm all right to make sure come inside. But he must come along scale below you me. Time all come to me, you people have been allow him, all kiss him all laborers, can also all make him cement concrete side here. Can also all sweep too. All by stopping allowing traffic look fast to and fro. All but draw more legally something also will work a all machine. And all me looking, you make him all outside to come inside. Working work here. And now this is like him work now, land me blow some 68%, suppose 1 plus 30. And we talk also about no got job long, sitting around this stuff. And we started creating all this plus something. And you me yet now laka. You must look good. Let's be honest, now you me making me go. And me easily talk, but in my heart will make him time you stop position. So me looking me kill him. Now you me are long statement long minister long works and we talk 200 over contracts been given out finished. Now about 600 million kina worth of all dinner stuff me pay him. Now you try to scale him and Kalasam all is like 1, 2, 3 go down long all the 200. We sell all is like contractor. By looking the local content block construction company block Papua New Guinea and illegally. But you look him the foreign content block construction company and big block more. So now you like Savile talk employment. See, we must not look at the symptoms and cry foul. We must go back and look at the cost of these things. Now me like explain to you me. One of those your colleague brothers in this house that has been there for some time, like my other few colleagues have been, I've observed those things. The decisions people are making long past making, but all this is not Marabe government. Even though Marabe government making. What I'm saying is the government of the day, I'm saying, sold them all is can heavy, but I'm good blood. That's the role of the Marabe government to fix them. But me like clear him like me ogre. No good you thing was him. Through him heavy come the thing was him. Government and make him national curriculum stuff. No got it, Mr. Assistant Speaker. Something will not money make him. Some little man talk clear. Only contribute him all this long some major ways. Now me look him all talk now. Yeah, now all the government so all clear through all to easy come. Man is government can looking prime minister makes him heavy stuff. But through heavy and dollar money create him. So me talk sabe how me play displacing construction industry. Me a much long RM works. Minister Name talk also, but people make sure all Papua New Guinea contractors and make him work. And now you look him, Marabe government start to send him now. Then you give him all company contracts, so I go along all Papua New Guinea company. Now all about employ him, we said. And sister blow here, brother blow here, beginning blow here, all Papua New Guinea employ me. And now you must talk 10 kilo this like and say give praise where praise is due and rebuke where rebuke is due. It is unfair to load everything on a government because our mindset is structured that way. No. Our mindset should be stuck the one that we look from within and look out. Now, me like there's another issue, the free education thing. The free education thing. Oh, Mr. Speaker, when we say free education, everybody is so happy. Hallelujah, that's the right government. But when you find the teachers inside the classrooms and the students who go in there, there's 80 to 100 students, no one black classroom. Now, me talking very blue teacher here. Hey, and to me, enough, me like teacher, listen, mano, now me talking, you schooling will go too. Nah, you look at schooling. Now me talk now how you schooling in the classroom will 80, 100 students have on the class. I'm talking, please. Don't you know going to talk me plus enough, me plus afraid of beginning, but we look at Manda scared too because no space was in the wall and side, long leg, let me get all sit down, he go. Only people making free education. Now me, I'm this like another teacher too. Now we should government run him na start him also free education policy. See, now what's not working in a classroom long past na making me go. Now you look at the government putting more classroom, long counteracting this situation come up. Now you must give him prize. Thank you, Marabe government, for putting more classroom because I just said free education and many students went in there, no space to stay in. Even the teachers have difficulty teaching them one-on-one. When the ratio is supposed to be about 30 students to a teacher, etc., or maybe 25 to a teacher, there's more than that, double, triple that figure. But thank you, Marape government, for building more classrooms through the DSIPs and PSIPs so that we contain that. Then by looking more employable below you, and by that good outcome belong and because planted picnic is in quality education. So all this is something must mention him. What policy decisions we make, they do have domino effects intergenerationally and also horizontally at the present time. Now, me like mentioned public service, me will debate. Hey, public service, you look in district below you here. How are you addressing public service district below you here? Lo province below you, how are you addressing this? Also me, talk lo me, Mr. Speaker, me, lo candidape, me struggle one them all public service on ground here because public service make it administrative stuff, but no tambo you playing politics here. Now some you train good long here. So me fixing this. So this lemon on the issue where government be addressing and some issue where been established long time and people one member, want them governors but addressing the issue collectively. So Mr. Assistant Speaker, me let talk also. No good you me. Think also. Governments have making more or something. And non-government is that whatever that government is. Not that. And some you meet all him stuff. No good you make that way or make him work now. You me because mindset lo you structure long just debate long floor parliament long giving work along government that's all. And no good you meeting was a prime minister or treasurer or deputy prime minister or ministers or all men and stuff. No good and same style one you me. The minute talk was some public service is one that all of us must fix. And we have to put our efforts in there. Now with the IMF issue, that's one that must be probably the points must be probably made that it is not IMF who is imposing its will or its structural adjustment programs, whatever it's on Papua New Guinea. The IMF, to my knowledge, has no structural adjustment programs. There's none. The only thing they have is they've come in to assist Papua New Guinea reform the public service. Resource are some of our laws. Look at the financing industry. Our financial systems, like me, I don't people talk about them, you create him, making Papua New Guinea kingdom go strong. Me, government Morobe talk. Yes. The IMF has come to help us to realign, to restructure, to reculture Papua New Guinea's public service system. And the conditions are straightforward. The quantity performance criteria is straightforward. And we're doing work in line with government policy to reform the public service to bring efficiency and productivity. So, Mr. Assistant Speaker, we must not and misconstrue the facts. It is not a structural adjustment program. It is not. It is a public service reform, our legislative reform, our financial sector reform to make it more into the current 21st century for Papua New Guinea to live and perform competently within the region. So this is like a right move and the wrong move, Mr. Assistant Speaker. So you mean no clear too much long facts, and easily you make it misleading. You may have no Parliament of Papua New Guinea to one time. Now, me remember point, and me come also me blame spending long enablers, and that's a fair point. Enablers now, I think one point also the National Development Plan or the Strategic Plan 4 must be done. That's a good point. And we look him as part of that reforms that are taking place. The Prime Minister is keen on that. He's been doing that. We discuss that often, and that is taking place. So that in that way, budget may come up through Treasury, and we will spending budget along all these enablers, whereby can growing economy, but at the same time creating business. Now let me finally make some of those points on inflation, and then I'll talk about a bit about employability, Mr. Speaker, and I'll sit down. But on inflation, please, Papua New Guinea want them all to have all members, you all educated people. But you know, because you know economy, but you must know survey. And common sense something. This I believe also all something to common sense something. Common sense. You look at how we are created. We are created with all the abilities in us to understand. So therefore, this is an inflation issue. Everybody is thinking, I mean, most of those critics of this government is thinking that government is creating some like issues of making inflation or all shops in the country. No. There's some inflation, yes. I mean, now long market in Salong Papua New Guinea yet. Domestic market. Suppose we got less supply, now more demand, now we're looking for price back on top. Some blame you me in not control him. Emol imported here. Something even outside him now by inflation blame but come on him. Carry me by him or goods me by him by looking inflation blame outside but come on him. Now Papua New Guinea, in me one blah economy where me play exposed along rest of the trade in the world. So because you mean so much exposed now, by looking at them, imported inflation will play an havoc on our domestic inflation too. And now by looking at domestic inflation, when them imported inflation, by inflation don't go up more. So the issue to do as leaders is not to tell people and say, oh, the government is not solving the inflation issue. That would be deception. That would not be true. How you gather people is you tell them, there's cocoa there, there's taro there, there's yam there. That's how I used to speak. Because if rice is there, do we have to really eat rice all the time? Or do you have to use the cooking oil all the time? Do you have to go and buy the oxen palm tin meat all the time? No. This cocoa is much better in health and also better in cost effectiveness. But kummus, much better. Coconut and stuff. Let's teach our people health at the same time what they can do. Don't create the perception that it's only the government can do for them. Then you're creating a cow-cut mentality. We can avoid inflation by going back into our own land and eat the food that we produce until such time when you find imported inflation can go out of the way until this government. Only less than, how many months now? 6, 7 months. Come on, Mr. Speaker, let's be fair. We've been in government only for 6, 7 months. Don't talk to us as if it's the end of the 5-year term. We've only begun. We're into issues. Mr. Assistant Speaker, my experience, a policy implementation takes a minimum of 2 to 3 years before it bears some fruit in public service system. That's what I've seen in the past. So let's not talk as if we can talk everything right now, it'll happen. I think we must pick out those things that the Malabar government is doing and keep praise where praise is due. We're addressing them. We're living in very turbulent times. And you compare PNG's economy with others around us. They are facing challenges too, but the leaders are not criticizing the government only. They are also telling the people because the government is not the only leader that leads the people. All of us individually lead the people too. Let's tell them the right message. Please, inflation is controlled by living like this. By resorting to other areas that the people can do, and there are many things that Papua New Guinea can do. We own the customary land. It is not owned by the state. And we grow very good food on the land that we own, and we can do that. And we can get those food much better than the other food that we're importing. Now, ICCC, Mr. Assistant Speaker, I hope the ICCC is watching, and also national statistics. Some of the issues that we have raised here does not lie with the Treasurer or the Prime Minister, just with the government alone. We must speak objectively. Because there's some systems in the systems of governance too, they don't do their job. ICCC is their job to go out and regulate the prices. ICCC, the National Statistics Office must go out and do some statistics. So we need not only our government to stay focused on these issues that we raise, but also the public service and those constitutional offices. Those instruments of government must do their job. See, you look at other countries, politicians do their job as legislators and policy makers. But the public service executes those policies and does their own job. The Prime Minister doesn't need to go around and do micromanagement. The Treasurer doesn't always go and tell somebody to do that. That is micromanagement that is not right. The public service system must work, and therefore, like I was alluding to earlier, the IMF programs are taking, in partnership with Malabar government, we're addressing those issues to make it better, lean and effective for service delivery, and to addressing inflation and addressing all these other issues. Now, I heard about this China being not strong. Now, and that's a fair issue, but also it depends on the market too. But let me just say that the government I've seen is taking very stout stance on this. The Minister of International Labor and International Trade as now established by cabinet decision, stock market in Papua New Guinea. The stock market is what creates a domestic market. You talk about money, you don't go how to borrow, but you have all our entities who have the money. They now trade within Papua New Guinea, and you find the money is there. So whenever any entity in Papua New Guinea or the government needs to use money to do work at an affordable pricing, Papua New Guinea's local money market does that, and that's what the Marape government is doing now. We have to give praise to that. That is the right thing, because that's one thing I remember I used to talk about when I was on the other side. I said, let's create a local market, money market, money market. Now it's taking place through the Minister Maru and through the Prime Minister's programs. We will see that taking place. So it's happening. So it's a good thing. Finally, let me talk about employability. We talk of employment, but let us not overlook employability. We're talking about employment, but let us not overlook the skills that are needed. We talk about employment, but let's not look at the relevance of it.
Minister for Higher Education, your time for debate has lapsed, but I'll give you 2 minutes to wind up.
Please. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'll just summarize it up. So the skills development through the space that I am entrusted with, I am humbly doing my best to make sure that we create the skills in Papua New Guineans at the highest standard that we can send out people out there. So we are seeing the mining boom, we're seeing the LNG boom, we're seeing other manufacturing processing sector coming into place, Mr. Speaker. But it's my duty to create the skills in Papua New Guineans. I'm doing that. Please support me to create skills in Papua New Guineans, and we'll have many skilled Papua New Guineans, and then you'll find they'll be skilled to outcompete outsiders, and we'll have our jobs. Even if we have jobs here, but we're not skilled, it is difficult for our people to get, because the companies and even the public service will throw them out because they are not skilled. I'm addressing the skill issue, and that is under the Marape also government will deliver that. And I yesterday they said from 3 to 5 years, you will see we will have done some remarkable skill development programs in the higher education space, and Papua New Guinea will be proud. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I dismiss those negative comments. We welcome the positive ones. The Marape government is the right government to address those issues, and we're addressing them head on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Governor for Western Islands.
Thank you, my acting speaker. Mr. Speaker, milek seems la time now long. Talk thank you long treasurer. Yumi also government, Blomarape, Rosa government. Yumi stop in government and 7 months or so now. Na treasurer, lo mi et also mi looking treasurer and one man blow work. Treasurer and mi looking also among all ministers, lo parliament. Treasurer and one man blow work. Now I believe treasurer is only a human being. And I am walking long him. Plenty money walk long. Talk plenty long na. You may walk long. Making plenty negative. Talk. But me at Milugum among all ministers of parliament. And one man the work. Now me talk thank you, Prime Minister Tulo, you appointed me come up. This minister. Now, honorable ministers too, honorable governors, honorable now I'm working you long, fixing Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea, you miss how planting money talk, like economy or something, yes, true. But plenty speech from me, but me support him talk where higher education minister don't poly talk. You mean non upload blaming money ko come la floor of parliament. Me stop on 7 blam muntasol or some member na governor of the Western Islands province. Na me look at you mean inside the house yet you mean no point in finger ko come na. You mean like fouling or something. When him sample something lo passed, government around also when him, government blow only run him also when him and passed. Now by you Mr. Baxet, lo Prime Minister, na Treasurer, na all ministers blow you lo Parliament, you must give him support lo to government, lo good blow people blow you lo Papua New Guinea. You may all got work blow blame. You may all got a leader, he got part blow you may contribute lo to the country. Me one black councillor, me come up low level of leadership, me coming up now, me governor of province now. Me start was a deputy governor, now me come up as a governor. Now plenty blow you me or leaders low yeah. You mean no how good how or legally man blow you me survive the community. Or live now lo today. So enough lo you me making pointing finger go come now, blaming one play go come now. You me all now must submit. Time em no good. Telephone em stop. Plenty old man blow bagram you me stop. So me like talk thank you lo treasurer. Lo you at work now me film also you cook sim IMF and been look save. And me give this la budget lo you. Approving this la budget. Come. And by you me run him country blow you me now. By you me look low stop. By you me look like economy blow you me barricade also on him. All plenty all the talk you me make him. Treasurer me film also you walk in plenty. Prime Minister you go pass. Look low. Now by you me try and fix him country. Once upon a time all power blow you me before. Kina blow you me am strong but also am governor blow morobe me talk. This la tukina or devalue him this la tukina now. Some heavy blow this la now when me come after some 40, 30 years you me won't carry me at na talk come. So when him some blow something come up today. Now today you me feel him. And some blow global issues now you me won't feel him lo yeah. So you mean not going to put in plenty pressure or Prime Minister blow you mean or Treasurer blow you me. Now you mean all ministers too. No good one blow you mix in plenty pressure but you may die nothing too. So you mean all the leaders but you mean must cut part blow you mean long. Claim. So time blow you me, commitment blow you me. All ministers work blow you yet must tight him one policy or one sample. Decision, but you revise him blow, when him can pass in where, but you make him, you must make him. Now, me governors, law province, when him can work, but you may make him, but you must make him. All members, when him something, but you may make him, but you may make him. All people blow, you me too must change him, some blow passing blow too. You me walk, talk, all people blow you me. But attitude, blow people blow you me now, give this like country big blow heavy too, law and order or something too. Big billions na billions of kina too now go law and order, police, defense force, no current law and order now and one big cost to the country now. So I'm something. All people blow you me all discipline. This is like government by focus law sample legally something the country must have a right to. So plenty problem now. I'm stop all me all get now. Stop all people, leaders, all sectors of life. All leader, me film also, one money walk na, me plenty walk around na, making plenty talk round la year. Now you mean today, and parliament you know finish, but plenty of seats now, the parliament them stop empty now. M2 some problem now you me create him too. Now blaming more the ani go treasurer. So one time this la, me like talk thank you. Also, you mean must pointing finger go come plenty and you must make him work. Thank you.
Mr. for Trade and Investment.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Me too, me like contribute laws la debate. Especially me like talk. Thank you, Treasurer Law. Which belong na response belong opposition leader. Me like start that talk all same. This heavy unemployment today, now pressure you may face him today, is not the result of this government. This is a result of our bad policies since independence came. Because as a country, we over-rely too much on the resource sector for a very, very long time. This is half our problem. You go to Philippines, you go to Thailand, only look at countries also. They never depended on the resource sector. They went into manufacturing, the industrialization, using special economic zones. That's how they are now powerful economies in Asia. We call them the Asian tiger economies. You make a big problem. We can't bring investors when the land is owned by the people. It's difficult here. You make a law and order issues. High cost of doing business. I mean, something which the government is responsible for. This is something we've all inherited and we've all contributed to. Me today, me place on record in this parliament. We are thank you to Prime Minister and the Marabe government for making one of the most important decisions in the history of this country. Of passing the Special Economic Zone Act of 2019. China transformed using economic zones. Philippines recently made a visit. Within 10 years, they created 1.5 million new jobs using special economic zones, 420. The biggest employment driver is SEZ. I want to commend the Prime Minister and this government for making one of the most important decisions which will transform this nation. So we see working on logging SEZ must be right now. You know how many jobs you will create? Like Prime Minister of Africa, I look at 16,000 new jobs. 16,000 or 1 plus 1,000. This is the future, and the government is on the right track. Me not talk because I'm minister responsible. I've seen the data from all over the world. I've seen the experience. You may depend too much on mining. Now you may get highest unemployment, highest crime rate, highest national debt. We all must all accept responsibility for the mistakes you may all get to work in. Leaders of the past and us today. I accept responsibility. I've been around for 11 years. But we have learned from that. We are not sleeping. We are now going to work very hard. In May, I'm inviting all members of parliament to attend Papua New Guinea's first International SME Summit in this country on the 8th and 9th. Maybe I give partly you blog back up. You listen to how Philippines was transformed, China was transformed using economic zone model. How many jobs it created? What are the do's and don'ts of SEZ? But you blog it come Harem, and how you can transform your districts and provinces using that vehicle. That's how other countries have transformed. And our country is on the right path. And Prime Minister, I want to thank you in front of the nation today for coming up with a very, very important. We will deliver the policy, master plan, we will deliver the laws, even land reform that needs to go with it. This is the start of the transformation. This is the future. So the government is certainly on the right track. It is not easy because you may got plenty of legacy issues like me talk. No got power, high cost of doing business, high law and order, but we are going to get there. It's exciting. In the last few weeks, I've now found an investor who is willing to build two coconut refineries to process all our coconut oil in this country for the first time in our history. This is what this government will deliver before the end of this year. We are looking at Africa now to come in and put in the logging SEZ so we can start to process all the logs in this country. Marabe government, we are on the right track. Yes, we won't create the jobs overnight, but we are going to create them. It's coming. And we have 5 years to deliver that. So me, like I showed in public now, this parliament, there is not all gloomy. We are starting on some major initiatives which has the potential to transform this country and create the jobs that we are looking for. Philippines has done it, Thailand has done it, Malaysia has done it using the same vehicle, and we are on our way. So me just like giving Master Law, Parliament today that the Marabe government knows what it's doing, it's on the right path. We've started some initiative and we need all your support to work together. We must not over-rely on mining and petroleum anymore. We must focus on agriculture, on fisheries, go to downstream processing. So much me building one more. PMI said, tomorrow we'll be creating 10, 15,000 jobs using SZ model. So I'm just saying, this is the way other countries have gone, and this is the way by UBNF, and the government is already on the right track. So we'll give him confidence today. It's not all doom and gloom. We have started on the right path, and we will go, and we are determined to succeed. So we'll just like give him talk so long, no parliament today, because meeting, there's no hope in the horizon. There is hope. And this year, by we are looking some major investment by CAM, and we are going to start on this path. So we let Mr. Speaker me talk, think through a good debate, and I want to assure Parliament we are on our way, and the Marabe also government in the next 4 years, we will deliver major transformation to the economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. We congratulate you, Lord Sinan, Lord Isulasia. Privilege, Lord Yusinan Namel, Lord Yusterim, Kibung Glimi, Lord Tete Apinon. Me talk apologetically, Lord member of Central Bougainville. So I use up, but me set up na mix in time, Lord talk. Me, but keep him talk short. Me like give him belly seal or Parliament. Country or some treasurer, the Honorable Ian Linkstaki, Emi clear or one something and walk him. Time he had, Emi no issue time. Time maybe like some government law 2019, me talk up in this, but me make him big repetition get. Economic block country, stop block good place. We were in a very weak situation. Dinner block country, Emi sit down at that time. Yes, central bank. At that time, we talk, now is up around underneath law 30%, but time we come inside, we talk, law restoring credibility, law economy, me. Larem, ADB, IMF, World Bank, now okay, look long, outside book, law country stop. And so time all look inside through a due diligence where Treasury is sponsoring. IMF is sponsoring, Treasury is sponsoring. I'm establishing was a total denial, including all dinner long, all West contract where West Minister he talk, Mibla start law, back him, like clean him up. Including dinner block kind of 800 million before government sim law BSP, law fund him port relocation. All this block and dinner let him go, dinner block country, all outside line look him, and we sit down at 39%. From this law 39%, Mibla start long walk. And last 3 years, issue triple year, but you may go back long whole of our history of the country. You may got one situation where population grow above 3%, and average economy grow underneath 3%. That's our record for the last 47, now going 48 years. Of course, the variables of every year, the economy sometimes go approaching 3%, but on long-running average, the economy was tracking below 3%. Our population was growing about 3%. One of this like minimum. Population, mouth lo look at him, mouth lo feed him, beginning lo educate him, citizen lo give him housing, road lo build him, cost him more, na actual money you make out lo country and lick. That's a record since 1975 coming up today. So in this sort of situation, our government or governments of past, and including other nations around the world, they do borrow. Na me like ask him all, sawe man blo yumi stabli atete, lo parliament you look. Me give one bla talk tasol kind of Japan. Japan today got debt to GDP in excess of 200% na on top. This like dinner only got them accumulated over time. After the war in 1945, they went on an expansionary pathway long rebuilding again country long all. Today only current over 200% debt to GDP low record long all. But the fact is that their people today live in a better country, developed country, well run and developed infrastructure. And so me like giving barely see long citizen blood this black country. We are trying our absolute best in tough times. Long you make him country will me grow yet. Now stop with last 3 years has not been an easy 3 years. COVID-19, fight law Ukraine, imported inflation, and all the inherent weaknesses you may inherit him. I mean stop. But Treasurer underneath law guide law Mipla, he got 6 or 7 major focus for policy in as far as how treasury in the government will work. Now, me like giving this summary long country law, supporting statement for treasurer. One principle of Mibla must grow him. Internal revenue to me first and foremost. Grow him internal revenue first and foremost. Today you look him on record in the last 4 years. Not last year, that's all. The former Prime Minister Meola Yalubu talk, our earnings are assisted by the price increase. Price increase happened last year, that's all. In 2021, 2020, 2 hard years. Good work IRC na customs, increasing internal revenue. Plenty all business operate the black economy. You look at last week or after or half past day, some headline look confiscated goods. You may look at work IRC na customs increase. Me like giving belly silo country IRC na customs work nothing. Work underneath one minister. And minister will call him Minister of the Treasury. Now, last 2 years, people start increasing funding along IRC in the customs, increasing efficiency along all. So, number one, aim as people come, realizing the weak situation, people stop. People talk, you must grow internal revenue, let me pass them through. Number two, medicine need long country. If people borrow, people must borrow responsibly. Not borrow cheap money, borrow expensive money. And that is what we've been doing the last 3 years underneath the leadership of Treasurer Blemi. Now, another point, the third point, people talk also, people must fund it more long PIP. Suppose you look the budget record, people in the last 4 budgets, people hand him down. We've increased allocation to PIP, and we've tried our very best to maintain him funding recurrent at the same level, if not increase that is not more than the increase in PIP. Number 5, Mibla must cut him, or number 4 rather, cutting waste along public service, including paying out or lombla areas for public service pay increase, public service back pay, retirement. Before government pay him, Mibla clear him out. In the last 2-3 years, Mibla stopped in office. Number 4, Mibla must spreading wealth. 5, spreading wealth through all parts of our country. That is why Connect PNG has a nationwide footprint. That is why our PIP allocations has a nationwide footprint. That is why we are fair in our DSIP, PSIP allocation to all parts of our country, because wealth block country, you may spread him all gonna have block country instead of concentrating block 1 block, 2 block half or so. Number 6, you must grow in economy. Now you must diversify my economy. And you must rely on, more importantly, the non-mining and petroleum sector to anchor our economy for the long run. That is why Minister Maru has focused on special economic zone, now focus on growing economy and diversifying economy. Mr. Assistant Speaker, me like giving belly seal on country, and me like giving belly seal on this parliament. The Treasurer, no long man running this economy, me clear exactly what I'm working. Treasurer in his own life, earn him standing blocker also successful businessman the hard way. Also Sampler, he earning money through many illegal activities. He knows what it means to work hard, earn money, grow business, and in this, put him focus now go country, he must grow him basketball country, grow him economy, and hopefully in the process, when we look back 10 years, 15 years from today, history can judge him whether the input, the honorable treasurer working to economy, the Karam Kaike and Nogat, the pining work, isipla something. Me acknowledge him plenty or picking him, me lose him school, and Nogat work stop. Maybe I put him money in the SME sector too. Maybe I put him money long, all lokisi money easy, like borrow, like growing business too. And last week I was very encouraged to read a story that emerged as an example from NDB. One young Papua New Guinean peddling in the streets of Port Moresby, selling, hustling and bustling. 3 years later, goes to NDB. Today he owns a PMV bus. That's a good story. It shows that someone, not even a grade 10 dropout, a grade 9 dropout, working, living in the city, in the hustles and bustles of Port Moresby, saving his money, going to NDB, utilizing our government program we have. Today, ME Oni Mungla Bus. 2021, Mibin Golong Maprik, opening NDB Bank branch Long Maprik. One bla mama, Long Maprik, ME kissing one bla nupla bus. Now I'm writing bla bus here, smell fish. Name bla bus and smell fish. Mr. Assistant Speaker, you know why I'm talking smell fish? Story blogger me RM time Mibla NDB giving kilo because I'm go borrow him this money at a discounted rate, partner him government program. The reason why I'm calling smell fish, I'm to also love me, Mr. Salim's piece. Now sinalo we work market, now Maprik market. Also the me smell of some peace. Today I'm 15-seater bus, assisted by government funding support, long NDB Bank. Mr. Assistant Speaker, Miba informing Parliament long May sitting or June sitting, long House side, government support long BSP and NDB work long give him lending long all small public businesses, all man like having business long country limit. Mr. Speaker, Mibla work hard in tough times. Me through, you me lose him talk long past time stop. You me focus long go forward. These are extraordinary tough times our country is living in the face of global tough times. And the Treasurer is trying his absolute best in tough times to work. And me asking you all gonna have faith that we are trying our very best. Only time but me worry if sip like sink. Today me like talking about we keeping our public accounts open, operating. We consistently in a monthly basis trying our best to be fair on all programs right across, including paying for our children's school fee, keeping our hospitals open, funding our contracts at the national government level that we have over 300 contracts running, and of course supplying to district programs and provincial programs for all of us to work to grow our country. You know, time blaming each other and cross go come, time blaming work on them. That is what our people deserve. I want to place on record my support once again for our Treasurer, who are managing economy in very, very tough times. Let us all rally around, and hopefully in time when we look back, you see whether the focus that we've envisaged for our country has been delivered upon 5 years, 10 years, or more importantly, 13 years from today, as he always says. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With this,
Question is, does the question be put? Those in favor say aye. Those not in favor say no. The ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker, and I thank the House for the colourful debate that we've had today. Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament do now adjourn until tomorrow, 10 a.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those not in favor say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, I now adjourn Parliament to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.